eventually defeated. So here's another one. Yesterday, 131 members of the DNC Platform Committee voted against denying U.S. aid to Israel. Against it, denying U.S. aid to Israel if they annex the West Bank. Only 34 voted yes. Just insane. The loyalty to Israel. And, like, do you really think that potential swing voters are going to be turned off by denying aid based on because of annexation, conditioning aid in any way? They probably still wouldn't even have a problem with it. Then, of course, they're against that as well. But annexation, they won't even draw the line at annexation by Israel of the West Bank. Like, that is, Jesus Christ. Celia Munoz, who directed the White House Domestic Policy Council under Obama, counted that the platform is already shaping up to be the most progressive ever proposed by Democrats. She noted that, again, just an absolutely irrelevant thing to say. She also noted that it incorporated work of the Biden-Sanders task forces that had labored to craft a language to appeal across the Democratic spectrum. I'm proud and thankful that the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force has outlined such a progressive statement on our party's views on this issue. I believe we should change the language. Oh my gosh. It's just so sad. And it's just like, if they can't even do this, boy, we are going to be in for a long, hopefully 4 years of Biden as president. Jesus Christ. That's all I got to say on that. Just keep listening. It's the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we have two more amazing stories for you. One of them is going to be about the Veepstakes, a new Politico story talking about why the Biden team has his little fuse with the man Kamala Harris, everybody. It's so sad, but it's so good. Also, did Hillary lose because of sexism? We're going to break down a New York Times piece about the subject in what is a pre-recorded YouTube video that was out today. So if you want to get that content early, not hear it in podcast form, go watch it on YouTube. Simple, easy, free, subscribe. So that is what we have for you. 3 straight stories, grinding. I never even do this anymore. Wow. So, yeah, when former Senator Chris Dodd, a member of Joe Biden's Vice Presidential Search Committee, recently asked Kamala Harris about her ambush on Biden in the Democratic debate, Dodd was stunned by her response. And this is actually kind of weird because it goes against what she said on Stephen Colbert, but she laughed and said, "That's politics." She had remorse. So, of course, that is referring to the busing, racism, segregationist call out that Biden did early, or Kamala did to Biden early on stage. And it was a really interesting moment. And because she kind of backed down on it. It was probably the best moment of her campaign because she was very strong and assertive and called someone out for just such a backwards and insanely bad record on race that the now current Democratic nominee has, including being right to the right of the party for sure, and even objectively well to the right in the Republican caucus of some of these issues, fit well within the Republican caucus on crime and punishment, stuff like that. It's quite a sight. So, she laughed and said, "That's politics." And of course, she laughed in a different way and said that debate was just a debate and acted like she didn't really mean what she said on Stephen Colbert. So this is just insane. And why would you just... And she gave the opposite responses to the different people. If you want to give duplicitous responses, wouldn't you want to give the reverse of the duplicitous responses in this situation? Wouldn't that make sense? I don't know. Dodd felt it was a gimmick. It was cheap, the donor said. The person added that Dodd's concerns about Harris were so deep that he's helped elevate California Representative Karen Bass during the vetting process. Yeah, so this guy's apparently really trying to push. He must be pretty influential because I'm seeing a lot of bad stories popping out recently in the media about how she'd be better than Harris, and she probably would be because Harris would be a pretty bad pick. But I have been telling people way too confidently that Kamala Harris would be the VP. So I would kind of be a tad disappointed because I said it so confidently to a good deal of people. Pretty much every person in my family, I just go around like, yeah, the VP is going to be Kamala. Like, I'm reporting the news. Like, I know it in the future. Like, I saw it. Like, that's how confidently I was reporting, which was a big mistake, objectively, I say. But this is such insanity because so much, it's a democratic way. Like, so much lying, so much, like, misrepresentation of ideas, so much, like, pussyfooting around the issue. It's just like, like, let's see if we can just break it all down. So, all right, it starts the root incident here. I feel like I need to bring out a whiteboard and diagram this out. The root incident would be the debate moment last year when Kamala Harris called out Joe Biden on like busing and stuff. And then after that, we have Harris getting pressed on the issue, getting a little bit of flack from some people in the Democratic Party, coming out and saying, I kind of agree. I kind of backtrack. I'm not calling Joe Biden a racist. I don't want to. So she kind of backtracks, and then after that we have her. What would be on Kamala Harris going on Stephen Colbert. It was probably before this conversation. I don't know. Sometime, most likely before this conversation, Kamala Harris goes on Stephen Colbert. And says, "I do." We can play the clip. She goes, "It was a debate." When Stephen Colbert asked her about the fact that she landed those punches on Biden in the debate. I need to find it. Just give me 2 seconds here. I apologize. It is kind of insane to see. Okay, here it is.
In those debates, you landed haymakers on Joe Biden. I mean, his teeth were like chiclets all over the stage. And now I believe you that you're fully supportive of him. How does that transition happen? How do you go from being such a passionate opponent on such bedrock principles for you, and now you guys seem to be pals?
It was a debate.
Not everybody landed punches like you did, though.
It was a debate.
So you don't mean it.
It was a debate. That the whole reason, literally, it was a debate. It was
Again,
a debate.
So you don't mean it. That's the impression. It was a debate. No, it's chill. It's on the past. And then now she goes to Chris Dodd, the former senator, and now member of Joe Biden's vice presidential search committee. She says that's politics. She had no remorse. No remorse. So again, what is the deal? Like, do these not seem very duplicitous to you? I don't know. It's just backwards to what she said to 2 different people that like she seemed. But on top of that, we have Chris Dodd's ridiculous idea that some sort of crime was committed here when you're just talking about the record. Like, that is such a typical Democratic thing. When Bernie talked about Hillary's record, she was like, that's negative campaigning. That's just, you're just running an awful campaign here, negative attacks. We are trying to keep this positive. We're trying to replace like whatever they're trying to do. But that was the tone of it. And they can't take any negative criticism, especially from the left. No dissent, no pushback in any way, shape, or form. They're just big, intolerant babies. And it's really clear. So Harris is obviously, she's a California senator who built a national following as a leading combatant against the Trump administration, has been seen as a likely Biden VP even before he started running. More than a year later, despite a campaign that didn't even make it to the first nominating contest, Harris still appears to be in the pole position for the post. Interviews with more than 4 dozen elected officials, strategists, former Biden advisors, and plugged-in donors said that they think that Harris is the closest Biden has to a do no harm option, which is obviously what he's trying to do, no harm. And people in 3 other competing camps privately said that while their candidates have a shot for VP, Harris is more likely to get the nod. Yet, with Biden set to make his decision as soon as the beginning of August. Supposed to be like August 1st, but I think he's going to push it back a little bit. There are still hangups over Harris, largely over the matter of trust. Former high-ranking Democratic Party officials and elected officials have expressed concerns about her to the vetting committee in recent weeks, according to 4 sources who have spoken to the Biden vetting team. The interviews for this article reveal the contingent of Democrats who are lobbying against Harris for VP, some privately, some openly. Several California Dems who spoke to Biden's vetting team have shared glowing reviews of Karen Bass, the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus and a former state assembly speaker. She's also at California, so pretty much, again, no electoral strategy there. Others touted Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, who earned a Purple Heart in combat, and former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, whom they came to know through her connections to Stanford University in the Bay Area. I think she would just be an awful choice, probably the worst choice they could do. I don't think Kamala Harris has it in the bag, said former Majority Leader Harry Reid, reacting to the dozens of Democrats who believe Harris is likely pick. Reid, who speaks frequently with Dodd, met with Harris recently and said he thinks highly of her. It's difficult to overstate the bad blood that flowed between the Harris and Biden campaigns immediately after the June 2019 debate, which is really kind of insane. The fact that she came out there, she owned it, and then she kind of backtracked, and she goes, it's just insane. Harris opened her attack on Biden by saying, "I know you're not a racist." She then accused Biden of giving segregationist senators a pass and opposing a federal busing program in the 1970s that integrated schools she attended as a child, saying, quote, "That little girl was me." The campaign quickly branded the phrase on T-shirts and posted about its preparations for what became Harris's big moment. Eventually, however, Biden gained the upper hand when Harris admitted she had essentially the same view on busing as he did. So it's pretty damn funny. Kind of an own goal, a face flop. A contingent of Bay Area donors had publicly endorsed Duckworth, snubbing their home state senator. They include Susie Bell, who was early to endorse the Harris presidential run, but drifted from her campaign to also back Pete Buttigieg in the primary, and attorney Joe Cotchett, a Biden loyalist, who was a major fundraiser for Barack Obama. Both Bell and Cotchett lauded Harris's war hero status. Of course, Cotchett said in an interview that he feared Harris's time as a prosecutor would end up harming the ticket, which is interesting. While Buell supports Duckworth, she said she didn't necessarily have reservations about Harris and trusted Biden to make the best choice. So that's kind of what's going on with the Veepstakes. Now, to an interesting other piece in the New York Times that I wanted to talk about today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very interesting video for you today, in my opinion. A very, very interesting opinion article in the New York Times by Peter Beinart. He is kind of a, I don't know, should we say kind of guy. He's a Democrat. Obviously, he's a liberal. I'd say he's like slightly left to the left of like a Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden type person. But not anywhere near kind of like a big standalone figure on like the progressive left that everyone's like, oh yeah, that guy's like super progressive. I think maybe he supported Elizabeth Warren. I'm not sure. In the primary, whatever, who cares? So he does have a very interesting opinion out in the New York Times. He's an opinion writer for the New York Times. I do want to break into and talk about, because I do believe it does have, it's not just, again, part of the endless, of course, flawed autopsies of 20. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for listening to programming from the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. It really means a lot. So if you like what you're hearing, please consider supporting us by checking out our merch store available on Spreaker.com/TSWS. The link for it is there. Also, if you like what you're hearing, feel free to leave us a review on wherever or however you listen. You can do it on Spreaker by leaving a positive comment, and of course on iTunes by rating and reviewing us 5 stars, and on whatever possible program or site that you listen to SWRN on. Leave a nice review, leave a good comment, let us know your feedback, and also if it's negative too, I always welcome constructive feedback. Thank you so much for listening, and now let's get back to your show. So yeah, that was a bit of my YouTube video there. We're going to